Hello and welcome to the second official Hull KR podcast. My guest for this one is Hull KR Chief Operating Officer Craig Franklin. Craig, welcome.
Thanks, chatters.
The backdrop, the hoodies, there's been a momentous announcement today, an historical announcement. Hull Kingston Rovers will be taking on the Leeds Rhinos in Las Vegas in February 2026. Let's just let that sink in for 1 second. That's massive. That is big news.
It's ridiculously big news. When you think about where this club has been and where we are now and the path that we're on, this almost rubber stamps the journey that we're on. It almost validates where we're at as a club. We're going out there as the home team. There's some, what you might call, I suppose, historical big hitters in Super League that haven't been picked by the NRL for this year, and for us to take our special club and our experience and everything that we love here about Soul Group Craven Park on the road to the entertainment capital of the world's biggest stage in rugby league. It actually blows my mind a little bit, and we're all so excited to finally get this deal done, announced and over the line.
You've said so. The NRL had a big part in which two teams were selected. So was it basically you put yourselves forward amongst a host of teams, I would imagine, and it was kind of like a bidding process or a vetting process? Yeah,
exactly right. So the process officially started after this year's event. So officially started March, but this has been on our radar ever since the first fixture over there in 2024. And this was by no means ever a foregone conclusion that it would be us. We probably had a little bit of work to do NRL side in terms of them understanding the journey we've been on for the last couple of years, and why we're the right choice at the right time for this event next year in 2026. So Kieran's behind the camera here. He won't mind me embarrassing him by saying we thought to stand out in that application process, what we should do is put together a video that encapsulates everything that we're about as a club, the matchday experience, Craven Street, what we do for the community, how we're the fastest growing got the fastest growing social media numbers in Super League at the minute, and we put that all into a 3-4 minute edit to send to the NRL because we just wanted them to get a sense of what's going on here, because they're not as close to Super League as some people might expect them to be, or they're probably not as close to Super League as we are NRL. I think most of us watch NRL on a Thursday, Friday morning. They don't necessarily do that with Super League, so they were perhaps looking at some of the other teams in a run-in and going, yeah, they've won every trophy in the game, so they would be the natural next choice. We probably had a bit more work to do in terms of updating them on our journey, why we're the right choice. So again, to get that deal done and get that over the line is a real. It's like a rubber stamp, I suppose. It feels like to us like it's almost accredited everything that we've been doing in the last 4 years to get that rubber stamp from an organisation like the NRL.
So let's break this down slightly then. I suppose we should give credit to the Wigan and Warrington clubs for being the pioneers this season and kind of opening the pathway.
100%. They took a massive gamble last year for the greater good of the sport. Both of those clubs lost money on this project, and they've been so generous with their time to us and to the Rhinos and to Super League in the last couple of months in terms of saying this is some of the pitfalls, this is where things cost us more money than we budgeted, or this is a good area for you to be looking at, or silly things, the price of bottles of water in the hotel versus going to Costco, that type of stuff where it's like, oh god, yeah, you times that by 40 people across the playing squad and staff across however many bottles of water across 7 days, suddenly a lot of money. So yeah, massive thanks to Chris Rodlinski and Carl Warrington. They've been really generous with the time and their insight, but also just huge congrats to them for what they pulled off in 25 and for giving the rest of Super League, ourselves included, this massive opportunity and platform for us to go and experience what they did.
The third year this has happened, Craig. believe 40,000-ish were in the stadium on year one. The second season, which included Wigan and Warrington, about 45,000. And do you anticipate that this will grow even further? I know the people of East Hull will be booking in their droves, getting their hotels, getting the flights. 50,000 beyond is realistic?
Yeah, 100%. The NRL are just a machine, aren't they? So they've got a plan to continue to grow it in territory, in stateside America. Clearly, the event gets bigger and bigger and more interest from the Australian side, and I think that's happening in the UK side as well. I think everybody that watched on the TV last year would have got definite FOMO, fear of missing out. And our job as a collective, us and the Rhinos and Super League, is to get even more UK fans, irrespective of if they're Robins fans, Rhinos fans, just get more and more UK fans out there. Because part of this process is really saying to the NRL, look, Super League is here, we've got a fantastic product, we've got a fantastic sport and athletes, but actually we've got the best fans in the world in Super League. And I was lucky, I've been out both years for this event. The energy and the noise that the Super League fans brought this year, the Warriors and Wolves fans, was just incredible compared to the year before. And without a doubt, that has whetted the appetite of the Australians and the NRL to get more involved in the Super League.
I was going to ask you about that, because obviously in February 26 you're going to be going in a club capacity in your role at the club. But as I know, you're a big rugby league fan, and you did go to the two previous occasions. So what should the fans expect, those that are going to make that step and go and support the Robins, across the other side of the world? Give us an overall flavour of what to expect.
I don't want to sound dramatic when I say this, but it is by far, head and shoulders by far, the best sporting event I've ever been to. And I'm lucky that I've done some NFL, I've done the odd European Cup final when I was in a previous role. It's like Magic Weekend times 50. That's how good it is. You're walking, you're literally, in the other side of the world, 10,000 miles away, and you're walking down the street and you're seeing Huddersfield Giants shirts, Batley shirts, you're seeing Penrith shirts, you're seeing New Zealand Warriors shirts, you're seeing the all different rugby league fans from around the world coming together in party destination, the entertainment capital of the world. Everyone's in a great mood, the sun's shining. The NRL do a brilliant job at putting free fan events on throughout the week. We'll have some Hull KR specific events going on out there. Clearly, we'll have the team out there, the players, but we'll have some other ambassadors and special guests that can turn up to these kind of events. So, honestly, it's the best sporting experience I've ever been to, and I don't say that lightly. I do not say that lightly, and that's not me trying to give it a big sales pitch at all. The event at Fremont Street on the Thursday night is incredible. There's just no other way of saying or emphasising that is worth the money alone, in my opinion. If the game didn't happen on the Saturday, but everyone's at Fremont Street, it's still a great trip. So if you're booking flights and hotels, do get out there for the Thursday night. That is the first time I've looked at rugby league players walking down effectively a red carpet. Fremont Street's maybe half a kilometre long, and they barrier it off, red carpet it, and they have this like walkway, so all the teams walk down and then onto the stage. The players look like rock stars. Like, it's the first time I've looked at players and thought, God, they look cool, like I want to hang out with them. It's an incredible event, that, and we were talking about it, the group I was with was talking about it this year, and it was long before the deal was done or even the conversations, and we were saying, just imagine seeing our crest on the roof of Fremont Street at that size and that scale in this event. It would just be incredible. And I genuinely think when I see the crest down Fremont Street like that, I'll probably get a little bit emotional, because I cannot explain to you how crazy that event is. But then of course game day, you get this year, there'll be 3 great games, not only us and the Rhinos going head to head, but 2 other NRL games, and not many people get the opportunity to experience NRL live. And the stadium, again, I don't say this lightly, by far the best stadium in the world I've ever been to. The their concourses are better than most hospitality suites in the UK. Like, it really is an unbelievable stadium. There's not a bad seat in the house wherever you get sat. It's brilliant stadium. And of course the NRL do a great job in how they package it up, and the pyro and the halftime shows and all of that. So fans are in for the best week of their life, and I'd be amazed if we ever go to Vegas again. This is once in a lifetime. I don't think there's a world where in 28 or 29 we go, yeah, let's go back, or let's do it again. I think it is very much you go once, it's once in a lifetime, and we create some almost money can't buy experiences for those people that are out there. If the NRL, the NRL got a 5-year deal with Allegiant Stadium, this is the third year, 26. They might continue in Vegas, they might pick it up and move it somewhere else. Genuinely not privy to those conversations. If they picked it up and moved it to New York or somewhere else, would we be interested in going? Of course we would. Would we ever go back to Vegas? I don't think we will for a long time.
I'll ask the question in the interest of balance, because there's going to be a lot of supporters who buy a season pass every year. This game is classified as a Hull Kingston Rovers home fixture.
Yeah.
There's going to be people saying, I lose a home game now. What am I going to get back from that? What would your answer to those people be?
Firstly, that I completely understand that, and genuinely that has been a really key part of our thinking internally. And we spoke to the supporter council about this a couple of months ago. We said, look, we ain't done the deal yet. We might not go. We're looking at it, and we asked that it wasn't minuted in that meeting because we didn't want to set hairs racing in terms of, oh, we're definitely going or any of that. But we asked the supporter council for feedback, and their feedback was that for the greater good of the club and the sport in the UK and the brand of Hull KR, this is just an opportunity we've got to take. So that gave us a little bit of comfort. Second thing I want to say on it is that when we announced a small increase in membership prices for the 2024 season, £2 a month we put them up by, we made a commitment that would be for 2 years and it would be reviewed ahead of 2026. And genuinely the intention all along was to increase membership prices for 2026 slightly again. We're not going to do that. That's been knocked on the head. So yes, people who can't make it to Vegas will see one less game. However, the price of the 26 membership has kind of now baked that in, because they won't be paying a price increase, which was forecast to come in. So that's a financial hit we're taking as a club. And I'm sure we'll come on to how it works financially in a bit. There is some risk here for us, and there is some major expense here for us. The last thing I want to say on supporters is we'll look to do something in Hull on the night of the game. If the kick-off time is suitable, it's not 1 a.m. or something, I'm sure we're very much planning and looking at options of where do we get a venue big enough that we can bring fans together that are out in Vegas but can kind of experience that party and get involved in a different way. But we know financially this is a big ask for some people, and we're always conscious of that in everything we do. But I suppose what I would say is, if I was given the choice between going to no away games in 26 and using all those £25 tickets plus travel plus food and drink and going to just the Vegas week, I would 100% just do that. Some people I'm sure will have to make some sacrifices, but I cannot explain how ridiculously good the event and the week will be.
Again, well, I'll just stick on the fans' perspective then. So those fans that are going to go out there, we all hear the stories, fantastic place, everything's extortionate, it costs you $30 for a drink or whatever. True, false? Can you find little nuggets of places where the prices are reasonable?
Yeah, it's like any big city. If you want to go and spend $30 on a cocktail, of course there's a million places that'll take your money. A little tip for people, I think it's called the Stage Door, or Backstage, something like that. You can get a bottle of Budweiser in there for $1 and a hot dog for $1.50. I know that because I bought plenty of both. So yeah, it's like any city. There's some places where you know, you do get charged a lot of money, and there's other places where you can get a good deal. There's a really good NRL fans Facebook group. It's an unofficial group that's online. They post loads of good deals in there. Someone puts a little sheet together once a month of saying this is where all the deals are this month, including Stage Door, where you get the $1 Budweiser. So, yeah, of course you can do it on a budget. And I think the other thing, I know fans will be looking at packages and things as we speak. I feel obliged really to point out that some of those unofficial packages online look like really good deals, but most hotels, if not all in Vegas, charge resort fees. So be really careful. Make sure the price you're getting online now is the price with all those fees baked in, because when you get to the hotel, otherwise they might say, well, it's another $20, another $50 a night for resort fees. So yeah, just do your research before you book and rush anything. We've locked in a venue called Rock House, which Wigan used last year. Great feedback from them as a club, great feedback from their supporters. There's going to be wristbands available where it gives you priority access, and also it gives you a minimum of 20% off your food and drink bill all week. That bar will be decorated whole KR, there's DJs down there, there's live music. We're planning some special events, special guests to be down there, with a particular focus on Friday night being a really big night, a proper big pre-party event, exactly like we did in Amsterdam, but on a slightly bigger scale. So, yeah, we've worked through all that in advance, and yeah, it'd be part of the experience. The idea of that venue is, doesn't matter if you drop in at midday on a Tuesday or you drop in there on the Friday night, it's all KR themed, you get your discount with a wristband, and there's always stuff going on down there, DJs, live music, like I say. So we're also planning, because you know the players' commitments throughout the week are significant. There's a lot of media commitments, a lot of fan events, like I mentioned, NRL events, 3 Month Street, things that we want to do. So we're planning to take some ambassadors out with us that will be at those other events that, you know, we can do the party games with, or can you know, do selfies with the supporters. So yeah, there's plenty going on, plenty planned.
Let's look at the bigger picture then, Craig, because you know your role at this club, you know, without speaking crudely, is to try and generate money for the club.
Yep.
You're saying that there may be some potential hits in places, but do you kind of look at the bigger picture in that being part of this event, it's going to generate energy, isn't it? And is that kind of, do you think you'll be able to tap into that and get some back from that?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things on that. The first is the board of directors have, from minute one on this, have been brilliant. They immediately understood the size of the opportunity. They also understand the risk. So we're doing everything possible as a club to get this project back to zero, as in we don't make a pound but we don't lose a pound. But the forecast is that we'll lose a couple of quid on it. And the board are underwriting that because they understand all of those things that you just said. They understand that as a club, or as I suppose a sport and an industry, we've got to put on these money can't buy experiences and these events that, you know, it's what it's all about, isn't it? Like being a sports fan, being a whole KR fan. Like for us to go over, and you've been involved with this club forever. Like you've seen the days where it wasn't like this. You've seen the days where there's 2,500 people rattling about. For us to be taking more than that en masse to Las Vegas and having a big week together, that's everything. That's all the best bits of sport, isn't it? Like that's just going to be unbelievable. But the value for our brand on this, I quantified it that, you know, we have a pot of money each year that we effectively use for brand building. This event in one weekend will give us 200 years equivalent of that pot of money. So it would take me 200 years to buy the amount of exposure, brand awareness that we're going to get in one weekend from this event. That's almost a no-brainer in its own right. So yeah, we expect, I mean, this year, 25, there was 280 media people that covered it. The online reach was over 1 billion people. The media value was tens, hundreds of millions of pounds. There's 3 million people watching across USA, Australia, New Zealand and the UK. Like, that is, in rugby league, there's numbers that we can never even dream of touching. So for us to give, like I say, the club that opportunity to go and show the world, tell the world what we're about and why we think we're so special and why we love it here and why people should become Hull KR fans. Let's try and adopt some Australians to follow us. Let's try and adopt some Americans to follow us. Like, that's what we're doing it for. And if the fallout of that is that our higher profile allows us to attract some bigger brands, great. Absolutely, we'll be open to those conversations. But we've got some great partners involved already that we're very proud of. So. There is a longer term piece to it, but actually it's just a privilege that we're in a position where we can do it and we can take, dare I say, inverted commas, little old Hull KR to the world's biggest stage is just very satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would have been a pipe dream even 5 years ago. Leeds Rhinos as well, you've already mentioned their support, so will be a good game because they're showing signs of coming out of their slumber of recent seasons. So yeah, it's going to be a Yorkshire invasion of Las Vegas. They'll hear some funny accents, won't they, when the Leeds and Hull lot get there?
Yeah, it's like a different language, isn't it? And they'll have to take some interpreters, I think, for the American partners.
You kind of separate yourself away from the playing side of the club, Craig, but have you had any sort of early feedback from the players? Some of them must be really excited at this opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of them have been nagging Paul Lakin for a number of months saying, is it happening, get it done, what's going on? So you can probably guess the characters that included. The players have got a massive opportunity. It's a massive stage for them to go out and perform. And it puts them on a pedestal. I think, if we're in the market for new players in 26, I would say it's an added bonus and might just help get 1 or 2 deals over the line. I don't think you can underestimate what a massive incentive it is for the players, not only to sign and join our journey, but I suppose to prove to Willie that they deserve a place on the flight, because we're not taking the whole squad out, we're only taking 22 players. So, there'll be a bit of competition for those flight seats, I should imagine.
Absolutely, yeah. I mentioned Amsterdam. Really enjoyable time there earlier this year. You were keen to continue with that link, to keep that momentum going. What does it mean for the Amsterdam Challenge 2026?
The honest answer is there's a lot to think about with that. And we, as a club, our mindset is always that, in terms of the way we plan, that we have to plan, and I don't say this in a way that it could be mocked on social media or in an arrogant way. I say this like we have to assume and plan, and our mentality is that we win the league leaders the night after his awards night at Connection Live Arena with 3,000 people in there. A week after that is a home playoff semi-final. Week after that is grand final. Day after that is homecoming trophy parade. Then we do a trophy tour of the community with that. Then all the staff and players have got to get holidays in. They've got to catch up with friends and family. We've got to have Christmas. Then we're straight into Tenerife. Then that's pre-season Amsterdam slot, World Club Challenge, and then a week or two later we go to Las Vegas, and then Easter. Good Friday is the 250th Hull Derby, assuming we don't get them in the playoffs, which is another massive opportunity and event. So there's a lot going on, and that's how we have to plan and structure and resource the club, assuming that all of that is going to happen, and that puts Amsterdam in a position where it's not guaranteed to happen. We want it to happen. We really want it to happen, and again, I'm really conscious that the fans might say, well, God, how much money do you expect us to get? We've booked Wembley, we've hopefully got Old Trafford, we're booking Vegas. But the model of Amsterdam, or the strategic thinking behind Amsterdam, is that it's a medium, long-term project anyway. So if we took less Hull KR fans in 2026, but we can continue to grow that audience out in territory, out in Amsterdam and the Netherlands, that model still works for us, and we we're really conscious that we don't want to undo all the hard work that we did in year one. It was a great event. Half of the ticket buyers were locals anyway. So is there an argument for us to almost accept that maybe less Hull KR fans would travel out and support that because they've made a commitment to Vegas, but we continue to put resource and investment in growing that more locally over there? That's certainly one route we could take. The other route is, do we look at something in the summer when it's better weather, Vegas is long gone, probably not a men's Super League first team game, but some other event, maybe using fringe players or some other tournament, because we're keen to make it happen. But I think whatever happens, we're going to commit to the foundation spending more time over there, because again, we did all that work last year and this year, building the awareness of Hull KR, getting them interested, getting them down to a game, getting a rugby ball in kids' hands for the first time. For us then not to go back out and see them for 2 years, we would lose that goodwill, we would lose that momentum. So there's a lot to think about. We'll see.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
Watch this space. We've got the first Papua New Guinean scholarship lad has come over in recent weeks. First of all, just what was it like going over to Papua New Guinea? Because, I consider myself a mate of yours, and you didn't tell me this was happening. All of a sudden, it's on social. Craig Franklin's in. I was like, what's going on here? Really forward thinking. I believe the lad's gone is in Heimers College, which shows that's the best place in the area to be schooled, isn't it? What was the experience like, and what do you think the benefits will be? I know hopefully the end goal is to bring players into the first team, but it goes beyond that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. First and foremost, as a club, we always try and do the best for whatever community we're serving or any community that we're in. So, most of the time that's East Hull or the region of East Yorkshire. But when we're in Amsterdam, we try and do the right thing by the Amsterdam community. We'll go and donate rugby balls, or we'll give out free coaching. When we're in Vegas, we'll look to do similar initiatives. And Vegas, we consider, Papua New Guinea, we consider part of the Hull KR family.
Yes.
Like, we've got Stan and John came over in 1995. We've got a long, authentic history there. This isn't us just seeing the size of the rugby league audience in Papua New Guinea and thinking, we'll have a bit of that. This is a really important relationship for us. So the thinking is that if we can genuinely change somebody's life and bring them over to the UK, we're housing them, we're feeding them, putting them in Heimers, and giving them training at a Super League club, an elite club in this country. Eva, that junior who's joined us at 18, he either goes home with a great education, a better rugby league player, and can improve the community that he comes from, or we retain him as a squad player, try and progress him through the reserves, or he perhaps signs for another club in the UK. Any three of those scenarios are a great result, but nothing would give us as a club, and Jason Everton, who's done, and John O'Cull, who's done enormous amounts of work on this, more pleasure than to see Junior put a Hull KR shirt on in 5 years, first team. So it's just one player coming over this year. It's very much, I suppose, a pilot year. How does it work? Is he homesick? Is he integrated in the community? Does it work for everybody? But the plan is that we keep bringing these over, either 2 at a time or 1 a year. And we build that pathway. Of course, when I went out to Papua New Guinea, there was a lot of talk about NRL involvement over there, and they really weren't sure if it was going to happen or not. Since that, it has happened, and of course there'll be a franchise out there in 2028, I think it is. But actually, that probably makes these kind of pathways even more important, because they've actually got to fill jerseys for an NRL team eventually. So the more people from Papua New Guinea that can play the sport at an elite level, the better for that nation and for that franchise.
Next subject then, Wembley.
Yeah.
Third appearance in 10 seasons, second appearance in 3 seasons. Huge congratulations to everyone at the club, Willie, the playing staff, but also the guys that do all the hard work behind the scenes. What does it mean for you guys in terms of work, merchandising, the whole spectrum, the whole shebang? Because I imagine that it's great that we're at Wembley, but having experienced it, you know, in 15 and 2 years ago, things go a little bit crackers, don't they? And things become a little bit hectic.
It's a privilege. It is a privilege. We would 100% rather make some sacrifices in the next couple of weeks to deliver, you know, the right result for the club on and off the field, than we would be sat at home with a weekend off on June the 7th. It's why, you know, whenever we interview someone, and Kieran will attest for this behind the camera, like, one of the things I always talk to them about is the sacrifices they'll have to make, and that actually to work in sport you've probably got to be a bit of a nutter. Like, it's not a 9 to 5, it's a lifestyle, and if that means you miss the odd, I mean, I was supposed to be in Berlin at the weekend, but I missed a stag do, like, but that it's fine. I'm not complaining. You know, it's my choice and it's my career, and I love it. I absolutely love it, and I love this club. So why would I want to be anywhere else other than York on Saturday? So it is a hard work, and of course, ideally, we wouldn't be going Wembley on sale, Vegas announcement, and a home game all in the same week. Yeah. But actually, these are the weeks we live for off the field. So yeah, it's a privilege, like I say, and we're fortunate that as a club we just keep knocking on the door, don't we? In terms of we keep getting to these big occasions, big events. We've not quite got over the finish line just yet, but we keep knocking on that door, and eventually it will open. But actually, because of the experience of the last few years, and we've got a fairly settled off-field team, and a really good off-field team, we're in a good groove of it, and we all know what to expect of each other and how it works. And I suppose with each major event, it gets slightly easier when we take the lessons out of the last one. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
And there's lots of Wembley merchandise available. What about the Vegas merchandise? What can people expect there? Is it going to be a gradual thing in the build-up to February, or are you going to hit hard now and put stuff out there?
Yeah, nothing coming in the next couple of months. You know, we'll because literally, it's made me laugh over the weekend. People booking flights and hotels. This deal was signed on Monday, so as of Monday, there was no ink on paper, so some people were taking enormous risks, which was quite amusing. So there's we've got a plan. We know what we want to do, but clearly it takes some time to produce it and get it here. I think one thing which the first question most people will probably ask is, will there be a Vegas shirt? The answer is no. We want to wear our 2026 home shirt. If we're going to, we're talking about this massive platform, massive stage for the club and these millions of eyeballs around the world. It doesn't feel intuitively right to me and to us to then turn up in a shirt that people don't recognise. So we'll be in our home shirt, but will there be warm-up shirts and other merch? Yeah, of course. That's one of the few ways that we can claw some money back from this event. There's only really there's two key ways that we make money, or we get back to zero. First is merch. Second is there will be a very specific UK link, and us and Leeds, that is the only way that we get any ticket revenue. If people buy tickets through the NRL link or through other links that they find, we don't get a penny. So it's really, really important. The tickets will go on sale in 3 weeks. It's really, really important people are using the right link and they're using this UK link, because as good as it is that they might be going and buying the ticket and want to buy the tickets, if they don't buy it through us, we're in all kinds of trouble. So it really, really is important. I can't stress that enough. And particularly, our fans always want to be together.
Yeah, they all want to be as a bunch, don't they?
And there's some designated supporter beers, which you'll only be able to buy for our link. So I think it will happen naturally, but I'd hate for the wrong link, inverted commas, to be the one that people pick up on, and then us and Leeds will be panicking a little bit, even though there might be 10,000, 12,000 people from the UK there.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll all go well.